icing of rose biscuits and more. And today we're going to be taking you on our rich fruit cake. Our ingredients is all measured out. We have our flour, we have our cherry, we have our orange. Okay, my margarine and sugar is already mixed, light and fluffy. So here is my crushed almond and cashew nut seed, and here is the main cashew and almond seed. This is my egg, brownie, my remix black treacle, my remix golden syrup, and my soaked mixed fruit. So in this mixed fruit here we have my cherry that I've sliced and mixed with my mixed fruit. So I'm going to be using all these things. So let's go. Just loosening up my creamed margarine and sugar, adding in my egg. So the process is the same with your normal cake. You add in the egg, the flour, and so on. So this is me just mixing in my flour into my creamed butter, margarine and sugar, and then the egg. Okay, so I added in my mixed spices and my cinnamon, grounded cinnamon into the flour. Now this recipe I do not use baking powder. There is no baking powder in this recipe, but if you want to put baking powder into this particular fruit cake, please, for the recipe I'm going to send to you, it's going to be a half teaspoon of baking powder. Otherwise what I just baked here has no presence of baking powder. All right, so it's just the same process like I said, beating the egg, then the flour, then the egg, then the flour, then the egg, and then the flour comes last. One thing to note also is your mixed fruit, when you measure out your mixed fruit, sieve it out from the soaked alcohol. All right, so there's no water left on the mixed fruit. Now the last batch of your flour, you're going to divide it into two. Okay, when you divide your last batch of flour into two, you pour in one of the batch into the mixed fruit. Now the reason why I do this is because oftentimes once you pour in your soaked fruit directly into your batter and you bake the cake, when the cake comes out, you find out that your fruit go on the bottom of your cake and sink down there. All right, so when you mix your mixed fruit and your flour together before you pour the mixed fruit into the batter, this helps to separate the mixed fruit so it doesn't sink on the bottom of the pan. Instead, it is on your cake. I don't know if you've noticed this with your fruit cake, but it happens. So the best way to do is to mix your mixed fruit with a little batch of your flour. So this is me adding in I added in my flavor. Now you can use flavors like vanilla flavor, butterscotch. You can use like the harsh flavors like I prefer using lemon zest flavor. Otherwise, I actually do not do much of flavors on fruit cake. I actually do not do much of flavor. If I must do flavor, it has to be just vanilla. So what I used here was vanilla. All right, now this is my black treacle, and then adding in my golden syrup, my flavor. These are what I added in right now. So I was just waiting for my assistant to help me open up the syrup. I've used this syrup, like I've used it. Syrup wants to finish. I don't want the syrup to finish. Remix is a nice brand, but don't be limited to the brand. Okay, I'm using it because I have it. My friend sells it. All right, you can use other kinds of golden syrup and other kind of black treacle. All right, they are all okay. They're the same thing. So you can actually add more of your golden syrup if you want. You can actually add more, but not too much. Maybe an extra tablespoon or two should be fine. Okay, so you can see that my batter is turning into a brown color without me adding the brownie. That is the work of our black treacle. It actually gives you the brown color you want. So, and for for note's sake, I didn't use brown sugar here. I used our normal white granulated sugar. So if you have brown sugar available with you, you can go ahead and use your brown sugar. All right, so it's not a must per se in this recipe. Brown sugar, white sugar, they are all good. They are all good. So that is what I did, mixing in my flour with my mixed fruits. So my mixed fruits is there. Now my crushed um almond seed and cashew nut is there. I'm going to give out the quantities on the recipe when I send them. So please be careful with adding these fruits and nuts on your batter so you don't overweigh the batter with too much of this thing. Fruit cake can be heavy, so the more fruit you add to them just because you want it to be filled with fruit, the more heavier your cake gets. All right, yeah. So whatever fruit you want to add to your mixed fruit, whatever nut I mean, just make sure it's the quantity that the recipe requires. All right. So you may be wondering why I'm using my hand. Actually, the batter is too much for the mixer I was using, so I had to mix the last part of the mixing with my hand. So if you have a bigger mixer, you can go ahead. Right now I am adding my orange juice. I just added 1 tablespoon. Okay, I just added 1 tablespoon. I didn't have lemon with me. Lemon wasn't available, so I was just using 1 tablespoon of orange. If I had lemon, I'll also squeeze in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and that is it. So here is my my brownie. Now this brownie is from Remix brand, and I noticed that using the exact quantity that this recipe calls for with that particular brand makes my cake too dark, like too brown. I don't like it. So what I did was just to reduce the quantity needed for this particular cake. Alright, the brownie is more their brand is very active, like the brownie is very dark, 2 tablespoons, and everything is very dark for this particular quantity I'm making, so I had to reduce. Alright, so if you're using any other brownie, just try and see how they work. If their brownie is very active, if the quality is high, I mean a drop will be fine for you. Okay, so when you try baking, you see the brownie, you see how it works, and you know how to adjust. So I'm done turning my cake. I just washed my hands because I have no glove on, and I'm going to garnish the cake. So I just needed to make sure I wash my hands off of any dirt. Grease your pan. If you have baking sheet, this is the right time to spread your baking sheet on your pan. If you don't have baking sheet like I just did here, dust your pan using flour. All right, dust your pan using flour so that this cake will not go and stick to the pan. This is why we need baking sheets. It doesn't go and stick to the pan. So I don't have baking sheet. What did I do? I dusted my pan after greasing with margarine, of course. So this is our garnishing. My almond and my cashew nut, I didn't crush them, they are whole. So now when you're garnishing, you have to be strategic with your garnishing, as in do some a fizzy, set everything in a way that it will look so attractive to anybody that looks at it. So this is our lemon rinse, our lemon slice, and actually orange. This is not lemon, this is orange. I prefer orange to the lemon, but if you have lemon, it's good. You can go ahead with lemon. If you don't have lemon, you can go ahead with orange. And of course, please look for orange that is a little bit yellow, not the greenish, not the orange with the greenish skin. Look for the yellow orange, it's more attractive. Yeah, okay. So you garnish. If you have coconuts, grated coconut that you've dried or oven dried, you can spread on top of this. If you have the pecan seeds, you can spread on top of it. All right, so this is me spreading in some leftover of my mixed fruits from my alcohol. I sieved it out from alcohol, and I'm spreading it on top. just to give it a good and attractive finishing. I'll do the same for the next pan. Then I'm going to be baking it starting from 140 degree. Now this cake, when I baked it, it took me close to 2 hours and 30 minutes, if not 40 minutes to bake. Yes, you're baking fruit cake on low heat, please, on low heat, not high heat. Don't rush it. Leave it there to bake 2 hours. You see, it's not filled to the pan, but this thing took me 2 hours. This is just 8 inches. Now imagine baking 14 or 12 inches wedding cake. So it takes time. Low heat. If you have thermometer in your oven, you should read 140 degree, and then you start baking on that heat. Low heat. The blue flame of your oven is what you're going to be using to bake. Please, not that yellow flame. No. Garnish, and after garnishing, we set it into the oven and then let it bake for 2 hours, or maybe 2 hours 30 minutes, or 1 hour 45 minutes, whatever time. You don't know how fast your oven is, but mine took me 2 hours plus to bake, and that is it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're going to practice and show me. Please practice and send to the group. Yummy. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Yeah.